Well, guys, talking of doing their job, obviously Sam and Kirk, you were at the Nigeria training camp today. Speaking to some of the players, Akko Adams, Iwobi. Let's preview that game tomorrow because obviously Nigeria take on Tanzania in their opening group stage. What was like the feel in the camp, lads? How was it? Was the boys relaxed? Was it kind of intense session? What was the feel in the camp?
I think for me personally, when I saw the boys get off the coach today, there was a sense of seriousness. I mean, I I wouldn't say that the boys never take it seriously. I think they always do, but you could just see it in their faces. There was no playing around almost. And even, we got the opportunity to obviously speak to Oko Adams today and Alex Iwobi, and there seems to be a sense of calmness. I think in the back of their minds, they realize what happened a few weeks ago in the same nation they're currently playing as AFCON in, obviously not qualifying for the World Cup. So I think they realize that there's a sense of pressure. I think, a few last week I said on the podcast there was no pressure on Nigeria, and the reason why I even said that was because I think regardless of whether we qualify for the World Cup or not, I think people would expect Nigeria to kind of do something at the tournament, whether or not it's to go and win it or to at least reach the latter stages. So I think the boys already know the position that they're in right now, and I think they look like they want to take this seriously. They understand that there's experienced boys in the camp at the moment. There's guys who are, making their debuts. They're about to make their debut. Sorry, they're guys that have never been to a competition at this level before. So I think it's almost kind of like the senior players, the more experienced players are there to kind of coach the younger ones to come up. But then there's also like this hunger and excitement to kind of like just go out there, and there's nothing to lose almost. So it's almost a mixture between the two that I sense.
Kirk, how was it being behind enemy lines, man?
Trust me, they let me know. They let me know. They let me know. But yeah, no, I fully agree with what Sam said. Like, you could see it, the intensity from them as soon as they stepped off the coach. Like, you could tell straight away, like, they're here, they mean business. And even in their answers that they gave, every single answer was geared towards getting into each game, doing what they need to do just to move on to the next round and the next round and the next round. And at the back of their minds, I'm sure all of them have been programmed to know that they're here to basically go all the way and win it. And yeah, it was so clear from the manager all the way to the players, like they were being put through their paces during the session, but you could just see it written all over their face and in their, like, on their countenance, everything. Like, you could see that the vibes were there. They're a bunch that are always together. You could tell that they have a lot of fun together as a group. But this time round, again, coming off that coach, knowing that obviously it's going to be the opener, so it's a chance for them to put down a marker, a statement against Tanzania. I'm sure they're not going to be taking it lightly. But just from being there, seeing them, and just feeling the presence and the aura around them, you could tell that they're geared in. They are absolutely locked in, and they want to go all the way.
I like that, man. That's good signs, considering obviously what happened last month. Colin, obviously we're really privileged to have you with us, especially considering how much like experience you have in and within the camps and being so close to the team over the years. I guess coming off of last month and going into this and building off what the boys are saying, I wanted to ask you about like the pressure on this tournament. Do you think there is, like, where should we gauge it? Is it a high on the scale? Is it like really intense? Because I feel like a bounce back is needed for this team.
Oh yeah, certainly it is. And look, when Nigeria go to AFCON, there's always pressure to deliver, and that's why sometimes when they start poorly, you see everything just feels like the whole world is going to come crashing down on them. And over the years they've always tended to deliver. And I'm probably going to get myself a little bit here, but unfortunately, guys, I'm going to have to disagree with you guys about the intensity and how these boys feel like, okay, they understand what's at stake. And the reason I say that is because, like I said, I've spent time around Super Eagles for a while, and I've seen some great teams going all the way back to the 90s, the early 90s, through the 2000s, and now. And the one thing I can tell you really about Super Eagles teams is that they come out and they're intimidating. Like, you don't need to say it. You see them and you know that this team knows what they need to do. And no Super Eagles team don't traditionally lose or draw multiple games on the trot. If a Nigeria team, and I'm talking about in the past, not this current iteration now, if they either draw a game or lose a game, the very next game you get a reaction. Now, over the years, what we found out is that Nigeria is more of a tournament team than a match-by-match team. And that's so sometimes they struggle in qualifiers, but they get to the tournament, they go and they do well. This team, unfortunately, I'm sorry, but I don't trust them. I don't trust what they say. I can only trust what I see with my eyes. And what I see with my eyes is that this is a team that in qualifying drew multiple games at home, did not show any bounce back ability until things got really tough. And then, they got a couple of good results and then they threw it away again. So it kind of concerns me a little bit. Well, not concerned, but I kind of don't really believe what I hear. I want to trust what I see when it comes to this team. And I say this as somebody who loves the Super Eagles from the bottom of my heart. Unfortunately, over the course of these qualifiers, that love, I've got my heart broken. It's a bit like a man or woman who falls in love with somebody and then keeps getting their heart broken over and over and over again, and then all of a sudden you don't believe in love anymore. And so that's where I am with this Super Eagles team. And so when they say they're ready, they're going to learn from their mistakes. They're going to be fired up by the failure of not qualifying for the World Cup. I just don't believe that. And the reason why I don't believe that is on the evidence of what I've seen. I've heard them say too many times during this qualifier, and not even this one, before that. Oh, we had a bad result. We know what's at stake. We're going to go out there and change things. And then they go out there and do the same thing over again. I was talking about Zimbabwe at the top of the show, about how they cost us a place at the World Cup. That was the one game that if they had just held on to the 3 points, Nigeria would be at the World Cup today and not South Africa. But what happened? You have a game that you need to win, a must-win game. Before the game, these guys told us the same things. Oh, we know this is a must-win game. We're going to win this. What happens? You get a goal. You don't finish them this team off, and then last minute you give them a goal. So to round up, I just want to say that as much as I want to believe everything that's coming out of camp, the body language, the words, and everything else, for me now with this team, it is seeing is believing. Until I see them actually do it on the pitch, win the game, and not just win the game, but win the game convincingly, I'm sorry, I can't believe them. I can't believe what they say.
I'm sorry, I'm just...
He's cooked.
I'm sorry to say, as a Ghanaian, Colin is giving me life.
Don't let me get into the Black Stars, because I have stories for days about the Black Stars too.
Wow. Do you know what? I completely understand Colin's frustration, because this isn't the first time that we've gone into a tournament as fans or as journalists, whatever it might be, and been like, I just don't see any hope. I just don't see any hope. I think genuinely, like, what gives me hope is just the fact that it's AFCON and anything can happen. Even in 2023, the fact that Nigeria got to the final, I was stunned. Nobody gave them any hope. And the fact that they even made it to that game, I was just thinking, wow, like, we've actually made it here. And I think that was just down to a brilliant defense. But I completely understand where Colin's coming from, because I think for years it's almost been like we hear one thing and then on the pitch we see another. It's been one of those situations where, like, Nigeria have let down the fans on so many different occasions. Obviously, not getting to the World Cup, obviously losing the last AFCON final. It's almost like where do we look to for hope? And I even think one of the things that really knocked my confidence a lot in the national team was the way that we played against Congo once Osimhen came off the pitch. It was almost like, wow, is this how we're going to go about things? If Osimhen, for example, was to get injured in his first game at the AFCON against Tanzania, God forbid, if that was to happen, what happens with this team for the rest of the tournament. Are they going to play like how they played against Congo in November? So it's almost like, yeah, I understand the frustrations a lot because, yeah, it's really hard to hold on to hope, I think.
Mhm. And look, there are lots of examples of this happening. For the 2010 World Cup, Nigeria needed to qualify. We needed the result in, I think it was Sudan, and we went there and won that game 4-2. There was another game where we needed a result in Kenya. We go there and win 3-0. In fact, no, that was Olympic qualifiers where, no, it was Zimbabwe, sorry, where Zimbabwe came here and drew 0-0 with us. The time they had our former coach, Clement Westerhoff, coaching the Olympic team, and they came here and they drew 0-0 in Lagos. The return leg was in Zimbabwe, and we went there and beat them 3-0 to the point where the game commentator was so busy praising JJ Okocha the entire game that he got fired from his job because they felt he was unpatriotic for giving so much praise to JJ while the game was going on. Same thing for the 20 World Cup was that again? I think it was I forgot, but we had Tunisia, Madagascar in the same group with us. I forgot the particular World Cup now, and it was us against Tunisia. We went to Tunisia, got the draw. Or was it Algeria? And then went to Madagascar where we needed to win, and we won the game. And Algeria or Tunisia went there and couldn't win. So when you look at those Super Eagles teams of before, when they tell you, look, we know it's a must-win game, when they go there, it is a must, and they will win it. Now, this current iteration, when they say, oh, we know it's a must-win game, you think, well, they're just saying it because they have to say it, not because they really believe it or because they really can deliver. And so it hurts me to say this, but as much as I love this team, again, I'm going to say it, I don't believe what they say. I believe what I see when they do it. And that is not to say that they can't do it. Because like you said, at the last tournament, nobody thought they were going to go as far as they went, but they didn't go to the final. So right now, my default mode now with this team is I'll believe them after the referee blows the final whistle.
Yeah, no, very strong. I definitely agree. I guess the mission is clear for the Super Eagles, isn't it? Like it's game time now. No more talking. It's time to do the talking on the pitch.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, guys,
Let's do it again.
Well, Chukwu said when they were talking, you're saying let's do it again. We didn't do it last time. What are we doing again? That was Chukwu, not me.
Oh,
That's
man.
hilarious. Well, guys, we'll definitely we'll be here tomorrow to definitely after the game to discuss the result. Hopefully it's a Nigeria win. But obviously Tanzania are there to compete as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining, and we will be here throughout the whole AFCON, man. So we'll definitely be chatting some more. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next video.